Bueno, para no castigar su puntualidad, vamos a comenzar. Dear friends, welcome to this session in which I am honored to introduce you to Moshik Shur. Moshik has an extensive career as an Israeli Air Force pilot with an unparalleled experience in management and leadership. He is one of the CEOs of Shamaim, an Israeli company that uses real-time collaborative work and artificial intelligence to improve team performance and outcomes under rapidly changing circumstances. And he's going to talk us this morning about the methodology used in the Israeli Air Force to train pilots and that we can use in business management. Our session will have two parts. In the first part, Moshik will explain the methodology that I have mentioned before. And in the second part, the last 15 minutes, we will dedicate them to presenting him some questions and your remarks. I will be grateful to you if you use the chat to present your questions in English so that Moshik can read your question directly and can answer you. Moshik, welcome to Hebraica.
Thank you so much, Miguel, and hi, everyone. I'm actually super happy and excited to be here. In the next couple of minutes, I would like to share an idea that definitely changed my life. But before, let me share a few words about myself, and I'm going to share with you a presentation that we've made. Feel free to open up your cameras, just, for me to feel more comfortable, and feel free to be Israeli and to jump in with any question you may have at any point. As Miguel said, you can always, just write questions in the chat, and I'm going to test my multitasking by going between talking and reading the messages, and I hope I'm gonna do a good job. So just let me know if you can see the preso, and we can just start. Great. So as I said, my name is Moshik Shur. I was born and raised in Jerusalem. I think like Eitan, but like most of the people from the Holy City, I left and lived in Tel Aviv for most of my life. Very common for people from Jerusalem. And also I spent 2 years in San Francisco. But we can share more about it when we are going to meet face to face somewhere in the future. I served as a pilot in the Israeli Air Force for more than 12 years. I flew on F-16. I was also a commander in the Israeli Flying Academy for 3 years. And when I finished my service, choosing education was quite easy. My two folks are teachers, very experienced teachers in Israel, and we are arguing education on Shulchan Shabbat almost every week. So I studied education. I was a teacher in one of the biggest high schools in Israel for 2 years, but I also studied basketball coaching because I'm a sport freak. And why am I telling you all this stuff? Because I believe that something really interesting happened over there. The way I was trained to be a teacher was very, but very different from the way I was trained to be a pilot 10 years before. Things that were so obvious in the world of aviation, like learning and debriefing after each flight, sharing knowledge between my colleagues, briefing before you're taking off to your next flight, transparency, and the culture of self-criticism and organizational criticism were so often in the school I taught it and didn't happen so often. One of my strongest memories from this period was myself going into the school I taught at. A wonderful, chaotic place with so many meetings and dilemmas and one-on-ones and classes and myself going out from the school a couple of hours after without sharing knowledge, without speaking with anyone of my colleagues, and not because someone did something wrong, just because this is how it is. I think if I can give you like a strong image of this, I probably felt like this quick video. It was clear enough, right? You know, you were able to see the video, right? So I think this reflects in the perfect way how I felt in the school. And later on, I discovered that this is quite common in many fields. It's very common in the field of medicine, and it's very common in the field of business and public service as well. By the way, you know, speaking about how you learn become very common lately. I read the research from Harvard University. They took senior managers and they asked them to rate the top values as managers. And you know what was the first value? Learning. And just after, they've been asked, what is the first value that you waive when you don't have time? And everyone said learning. So it's not about how you learn and why learning is so important. It's more about how you learn when you don't have time. So if one of you has time, maybe it's not the right place for you guys, but if, like myself, you find yourself running from place to place, so maybe what we are going to talk can give you a nice tool of handling it. So this is what we do in Shamayim. We are working with teams with no time, and we are trying to implement learning based on our experience as a IAF pilots. So this is what I want to do in the next couple of minutes. I would like to share with you 3 terms, really strong and important from my background. And it's gonna be interesting how you're gonna see it from your experience. And the first one is flight. Flight is a very, very important term in the place I come from. You know, flight is what defines us as a professional. Flight is what defines me as a pilot. This is what I need to do very, very good in order to be a professional. We believe that each individual and a professional has a flight. Of course, it's something that you take from your destination. Let's say if I want to fly to Mexico, it's going to be a huge mistake to take the flight to China or to Australia, right? But when I know where I want to go, and when I know what is the flight that can take me there, suddenly things are becoming much more focused. Things are becoming much more clear. what is important and what is less important. Flight is a task that I do, but it's something that is much more important than other tasks that I can do or that I usually do. I wanted to share a few popular flights from teams that we work with. You can see product team on your left, and the release can be a very, very interesting flight for them. If you are a salesperson, discovery call, the first time you give a call to a potential client, this is a very, very popular flight. And of course, when you are a manager, how you run a meeting, how you manage your staff during a meeting, all three are very, very, very popular flights that can help professionals understand what is their very important thing that they can do during a day, a week, or a year. I wanted to ask you guys, and it can be very interesting, what is your flight? I know that there are a variety of people over here, but what is your flight? What is your flight today? What is your flight in the upcoming week? What is your flight in the upcoming year? Defining your flight can make a lot of sense about prioritize your tasks, and we can talk about it very soon. So flight is the first term. The second is the art of debriefing. I wanted to share a secret with you, so please don't tell everyone, but the Israeli Air Force is training 18 years old cadets to be pilot and co-pilot in one of the best air forces in the world in less than 250 flight hours. It's somewhere between half and third of the world average. The reason originally was lack of resources. You know, in Israel, we don't have the resources the American Air Force has or the British Air Force has. But later on, I think the reason was changed. And the art of debriefing was the reason you can train your cadets in much less flight hours. I grew up on two sentences. The first one is, if you didn't debrief, you didn't fly. I want to say it again. If you didn't debrief, you didn't fly. The understanding that the mission is not coming to an end without investigating it, talking about it, exploring it, debriefing it, and know exactly what you're going to do next time was a shock for me then, and I think it's very innovative even now. The second sentence is maybe even stronger. The leader of the flight is the leader of the learning process. I want to share a quick story. After my first flight in the Flying Academy, I felt really bad, both because I did a terrible job, but also because I had, you know, sick after being 30 minutes on air. And I went to the debriefing room together with my flight instructor, a very experienced and scary person. And we sat down. He looked at me. I looked at him. He looked at me. I looked at him. He was silent. I was silent. And you know, I was waiting for him to feedback me, right? This is what teachers are doing usually. They are giving feedback to the other side, but he was silent. And after a couple of seconds, I understood the message, and I started to leading my learning process by using a very simple learning methodology. the cadets of the IAF Flying Academy are becoming the leaders of their learning. And at the beginning, maybe the debriefing are quite terrible, weak, not something so strong, but later on, the young cadets are becoming masters, and it kind of an art, or how we call it, the art of debriefing. Yeah, someone asked me to repeat the second sentence, so it's I told you my multitasking is okay. So the second sentence is, the leader of the flight is the leader of the learning process. So thank you, Linda. Okay. By the way, a couple of months ago, we started to we started a research together with the Gordon with the Gordon College, and we tried to check what is exactly the influence of debriefing on professionals. We took teachers during their first 3 years, and we took a group of teachers that are debriefing, and the group of teachers that are not debriefing as part of their day-to-day. And we found, I won't say that it's surprising, but it made me very, very happy that people that are debriefing during their professional day-to-day life are happier, with a much more motivation to take much more meaningful roles for longer time. So this is something I was very, very happy about. And again, we can discuss it later on. So this is the art of debriefing. And last but not least is the briefing. This is what I like the most, because this is the way you take the past and make it a much better future. During the last couple of months, let's say 2 years, we developed a tool, an app that first help you to define your flight, which is nice. Second, it helps you to, after you land from your flight, to debrief yourself and share knowledge and lessons with your colleagues, which is awesome. But what I like the most is the ability to brief yourself before your next flight. By using your last lessons and your colleagues' last lessons, the app, the AI of the app enables you to get the most accurate lessons for yourself at the right time. What I see much often in Israel is, for example, teachers or doctors that just before they entering the next surgery, they are walking through the app and get the top 3, 4, 5 lessons that can help them to do what they do much better. I think that the two impacts of this process is, A, to help a professional to do what he does much better. But the second is to encourage him or her to keep sharing lessons, to keep debriefing in order to keep this process alive. So we had Pesach Matzah Maror, we had flight, we had debriefing, and we had the briefing, and these all three are helping us to take something from our experience as pilot, but to make it relevant together with our partners and create learning cycles that can really bring value to teams and companies. So last, we are already looking forward to the next challenges. You know, how to, we talked a lot about how to share knowledge inside the team or inside an organization, but how you share knowledge between institutions, between companies, to increase your community and make it much more meaningful for you as a professional. And the second, something we started lately, is how you see this art of debriefing as a core skill, and you are teaching it not only adults but also kids and teenagers. So this is, I hope that a year from now we are going to have good news regarding these two new challenges. Because, you know, guys, and this is, and I'm gonna stop now, but a world without debriefing looks mostly like this.
Come on back out.
I just have to play it again.
Come on back out. You guys are so...
Thank you.
Okay, the chat is open and Moshik is ready to to answer your questions and to talk about this very important presentation to us. I have a question, and maybe it's not very interesting, but I want to ask you, Moshik, are you sometime trying with artificial intelligence, especially with machine learning with kids? Because I was trying with kids using machine learning. The kids train the automatic system, and then the students must have some skills to train machine learning and automatic systems. Do you have some experience in education using artificial intelligence? You have a very interesting and important app that you use in your methodology, but I want to know if you are using sometime you use it, the machine learning in education.
So the way we use the artificial intelligence is based on your behavior. Actually, the app is learning what is interesting for you, for example, Miguel, and give you lessons according to what you see as valuable. For example, let's say Eitan wrote a debrief, and in a very natural way, the people that are going to read this debrief, view this debrief, comment on this debrief, share this debrief, are the people that probably see this debrief as interesting for them. If I read a debrief that has no connection to my professional challenges, I'm gonna skip it probably. So the way the app using the artificial intelligence is by learning your behavior and giving you lessons according to the debrief that you read the most, comment the most, shared the most. And you asked about kids, and with kids, it's brilliant, because the behavior inside the app is perfect. Kid is reading only what is interesting for him or her, and the feedback we got from children about using the app is in most of the cases are much better than the feedback that we got from adults. So I hope I answered your questions, and thank you, of course, for that.
Ok, Román, ¿puedes abrir el micrófono de Ricardo Álvarez, por favor? A ver, ¿quieres probar, Ricardo, si se abre tu micrófono, por favor?
¿Ahí me escuchan?
Sí.
Gracias. Thank you, Moshik. Very interesting, your presentation. I am Ricardo Alvarez. I am a teacher of innovation at Hebraica. And I would like to understand which soft skills complement this implementation regarding we in our businesses, we deal with several educational levels, and which skills can complement the implementation of this methodology.
Would you see it rude if I ask you the same question? Just, you know, it's maybe very, very interesting for me to ask you as an expert of innovation, where do you find these soft skills going together with this learning methodology? Because of course, you know, innovative and self-reflection and learning and adjustments are probably part of the these soft skills, but they're probably you can find as an expert much more.
¿Está cerrado tu micrófono? Sí, puedes abrir el micrófono, por favor, Román. De hecho, por favor, abre el micrófono de todos los participantes. Son todos colegas y queridos amigos. Así es que puedes abrir el micrófono de todo el mundo, porque si alguien quiere tomar la palabra, solamente con que levante la mano, pueden plantear su pregunta a Moshik, por favor. Gracias.
Thank you for the answer, Moshik. Just to add, is for in preparation to how do you make people be more aware of this debriefing or the things they need to fill into a self-debriefing and into a team debriefing. Thanks for your answer.
I agree. Thank you, Ricardo.
¿Alguien más de ustedes quiere participar, hacer alguna pregunta, comentario respecto a lo que ahora nos ha presentado Moshik?
But by the way, regarding what Ricardo just asked, you know, it's debriefing and self-debriefing is a kind of a muscle you need to train. This is what I said about the young cadets. You know, when I was a commander in the Israeli Flying Academy, and I tried to do what my instructor did with the silence, it was quite hard, you know, because when you give a young person the opportunity to lead her learning, it's not always, you know, perfect. The opposite, sometimes it's really bad. They are debriefing the wrong elements. They are debriefing without taking self-responsibility. They are debriefing something based on their, I don't know, memory that is not accurate to the reality. And it's a huge challenge to, you know, to take a break, you know, a deep breathe, and to give them keep giving them to lead their learning process. But eventually, it's forces. You know, it's 18 years old, a cadet that he's like a learning machine. And just after a couple of months of training, it's huge. And 20 or 30 years after, when he's going to be a pilot in the Israeli Air Force and debrief his formation, it's just, you know, worth everything.
Ricardo has a comment in the chat. Do you see it?
Yeah, definitely.
I remember now the two videos you show us. These animals trying to wonder what is floating in the river. No, it's an animal. It's a piece of wood. I don't know. And in the second one, when the kids go outside or out this thing where is what's the name? I don't know. It has a name in particular. The kids. What's the name?
The animal is a bison,
Yes.
and the thing floating is a stick, right?
Yeah, it's a log.
It's a trunk or something. Yeah, but in the second video, do you see? What's the name for this?
A tent. Tent.
Tent. No, it is to go outside the tent, and then all the commit the same mistake, and maybe the question from Ricardo about how is the asking the right way to asking, and how we must learn how to transform our mistakes in a kind of learning, and how debriefing and briefing this all these parts of the processes can help us to learn and to train us.
How you ask the perfect questions, and how these questions are giving you the opportunity to pass the wall. You know, there are so many walls in front of us, and your first desire is to go around, or just to turn to the other side and go back home because it's so high. And this art of debriefing is giving you the opportunity, to climb the wall or to break the wall. And what I just said is something that one of the kids we work with told us a couple of weeks ago, when the program he participated at was coming to an end. So I think it's amazing. But there are a few questions here in the chat, and I like, the first question is how to make time for learning when all my team is complaining for the lack of time. This is exactly what we are trying to solve. Let's start by saying that you can't learn from everything. You just can't. I can take you to virtually. I can take you to my squadron in the Israeli Air Force, and the schedule is starting at 7 a.m. and end at probably, I don't know, 3 a.m. And there are a bunch of missions, and you just can't stop learning from everything. You just keep doing what you do. But there are one task that make you go into a room and do like a really quick but defined ceremony before the mission and after the mission. And the task is a flight. You are not going to the flight without briefing yourself and without debriefing after. You just can't. And why? Because this is the most important thing you do in a day. So I would like to ask you, I don't know if the name is maybe David or
David.
What is your flight? David, what is your team's flight? What are you doing for living? Maybe it's a good example. So would you mind to share with us?
Yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, I am the manager of a technical support team. We are all the day attending technical issues with different customers, and the big challenge for my team is actually keep learning, keep getting experience, and at the same time trying to attend the day-to-day work. So I got some online training for them. In these times, it's very common and cheaper than other times. But when I am asking them what is the progress on the different training I get for them, the answer is the same. We have no time for that. We're trying the best to do it, but you know, we have a lot of calls from customers. That's a problem I'm facing.
I think, thank you, David. David, it's an amazing example. Why? Because how many technical issues do you have a day, more or less?
Well, it depends, but I think in average, we're facing about 20 or 30 calls from customers per day. I have a team of 20 people in charge of it. Of course, we are managing different priorities for them. Not all the calls, not all the problems are the same in impact or severity. So we are focused our people in the most impacting issues, and then put the other job or task in a queue, waiting for some time to be attended, and so on. That's the way we work.
Perfect. So I just wanted to say that you cannot debrief each or every issue. You just can't, because you are going to, I don't know, to destroy yourself. But looking as a shift, as a flight, you see what I mean? Or looking as a working or like a working week as a flight can make a lot of sense. And then you are not asking your team to debrief after each issue. You just ask them to debrief after they land from their flight. Let's say, I don't know, Friday noon. Let's say, I don't know, a Thursday afternoon, when the working week is coming to an end. So, and we worked with so many technical teams that are facing exactly this issue. By the way, your team is working according to shifts, or they are all working together?
We have a shift organization, right?
So having like a debriefing meeting in exactly the middle between ending a shift and starting a shift may be a good idea as well. So thank you so much, David, for your question, and it's a huge challenge. I see here another interesting question. I'm gonna read it very, very quickly. If the one learning is debriefing the wrong things, how can we train people to correctly debrief? I think it's a huge question. What kind of information are we looking for when debriefing? We call it an advanced way to debrief. You know, at the first stage of debriefing, you debrief according to your memory. Let's say if you ask me what happened in the last 30 minutes, I need to start using my memory to, I don't know, to investigate what happened. Maybe my beginning wasn't the best. Maybe, I don't know, somewhere in the middle, I could do a little better. Maybe, I don't know, the question part should be longer. I don't know, but this is exactly how I use my memory. But when I use, for example, the video that Miguel recorded, by using the video, I can debrief myself much better. By using Rebecca, hi Rebecca, by using Rebecca's feedback, I can be a much better debriefer. By using, I don't know, Eitan's comments, I can just debrief myself in a better way. So we have a bunch of advanced tools for being a better debriefer. And according to the Shamayim course, we are going to track some of it and maybe to use it in order to take our debriefs to the next level.
Do you have some issues about the syllabus of your course? Because you begin your course at the middle of October, and we want to know what are the themes, the issues that you will explain us in the course?
So from my perspective, there are a few goals to this process.
Mm-hmm.
First is to teaching you the art of debriefing. We are going to be learning machines and to know better how to debrief ourselves using the Shamayim methodology, using the Shamayim platform, and using the simple tips and methodology that we are teaching. But this is not the only goal, right? The second goal, and maybe the more interesting, is to create a community, a professional community that can share debriefs with each other. We are going to open at least one, maybe two debriefs each session, and to talk about it. We are going to create what we call a team learning. Mm-hmm. Every session, and it's up to you. You are going to bring the content, and of course, I'm gonna I can be the methodology instructor, but it's gonna be very interesting to see how the community is going to react to each debrief. And I really love to bring people that can inspire us. So what I plan is to bring Noam Gershoni. Noam Gershoni was a pilot, and he was very, very bad injured during the Second Lebanon War on 2006. And by using this debriefing methodology, he taught himself how to play tennis, and he took the gold medal in the London Olympics. Wow. On 2012. So one of the sessions is gonna be with Noam. I'm gonna bring someone I really like, that is an airplane accident investigator. So we are going to talk about the differences and the common ground between debriefing and investigation. Because by the way, in Hebrew, it's almost the similar word. It's tahkir and chakira. It's very similar, but it's very, very different. So by asking how he's investing airplane accidents, we can learn a lot about debriefing and investigating. I'm gonna bring the CEO of Shamayim, who's sitting in Boston, US, and he's gonna share with us how business persons are using this concept. So we are going to be a learning machines. We are going to create a professional community, and we are going to hear a lot from very inspiring people about how they are using this art of debriefing.
We can bring our experience in our everyday job to analyze and use a kind of case studies, no?
Exactly. You are going to bring yourself to this process. This is what I like. This is what makes each course and session so different from the other.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else? You have at least 15 minutes else. It's the same silence that you find when you are with your trainer, your teacher, and your trainer.
It's fine. Someone once told me that not to be afraid of the silence. You know, it's good.
Okay.
And we always can. We can ask for this 15 minutes later on. You know, so it's okay. All good.
Okay. Well.
Any questions? Last questions, guys. So thank you so much. And I'm very excited about this process and this cooperation. And I will put here in the chat my details. And please feel free to ask questions and give comments and give me feedback about this session. I would love to, and I hope to see you soon.
Well, thank you very much, Moshik. Pues agradezco a todos ustedes su presencia. Si alguno de ustedes quiere hacer alguna pregunta en castellano, igual se las podemos traducir con ayuda de mis colegas que hablan mucho mejor inglés que el mío para que él pueda contestárselas. Pero si no, quedamos a la orden con todos ustedes para el curso que ofrecerá Moshik en breve en el mes de octubre, noviembre y parte de diciembre. Así es que la información toda está en la página de la Universidad de Hebraica. Moshik, thank you very much for your time, for your ideas, and I am very, very interested, and there are a lot of people here that are interested in your course. Thank you very much, Moshik.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. See you soon.
See you
Bye,
soon.
bye.
Bye.